Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, along with Tim here. I am DJ Kings. This is Relaks Radio, and you are currently tuned into The Buzz, the one place for finance, entrepreneurship, everything technology, and everything business. Everything to just make sure that you're roped into something to keep your pockets fatter and have you spending more wisely. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Buzz. And you're tuned in for some very important topics.
That's right. Good afternoon, everyone. We hope you've been having an amazing day so far. Hope you're having a productive day. Kings and I are basically here to break down a lot of conversation around Didi, China, threats to avoid when running a digital business. And then I'll be actually also going into how Jeff Bezos will be stepping down as the Amazon CEO. Now, lots of stuff breakdown along the lines of business, tech, and entrepreneurship.
Indeed.
Stay tuned right here. Make sure you're locked in on Relaks Radio. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. We are also streaming on our app, so make sure you download our app. Our app is free. If you want to, just have us in your ears wherever you go. If you're in the gym, if you're doing a bit of cardio, if you're going for your meetings, right? These are going to be basically a lot of conversation starters. You can basically catch up, give your customers a call, give your clients a call, and just start a random conversation on what we're talking about. Because you don't know what, you can actually add value to them, and then just let them know that, remind them about a little bit about yourself again, and get that conversation going. So
exactly.
Yeah.
You never know that you tuning into this radio show, we might even just get you a job. So keep your ears peeled.
now coming into conversations around the Chinese investigation around Didi. If you are keen on hearing more about it, if you have questions, make sure you comment on the video down below. Make sure you comment on the video, and then you can call us up on 07852473473. Kings and I will be with you for the next hour, breaking this down, breaking a little bit on how to run a digital business, avoiding mistakes. Stay tuned right here. You're tuned in on Relaks Radio. We'll be right back with you with the news. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million. and they're different. Right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country. To be fair, different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies and then you step up into different things.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from the break. This is The Buzz, and you are tuned in on Relaks Radio with DJ Kings and Tim here. We are here to speak everything business, entrepreneurship, and everything all round to keep those finances high and those problems low. Stay tuned.
Absolutely.
This is The Buzz.
Absolutely. That amazing intro. Now coming into, if money is not a problem, what is?
Exactly.
I've always wondered, right? I've always wondered, okay, now, two things, love or money. Second thing is, does money really give you happiness or not, right? What's your take on it?
Do you know what? I always hear that question, if money can buy happiness. And honestly, I don't think so. I believe it can rent happiness, because money can't buy happiness, but I can guarantee you one thing's for sure. I'm pretty sure you'd prefer to be crying inside of a BMW rather than a bicycle. So,
Man.
So I'm sure money can rent happiness. I wouldn't say buy it, but it could definitely do a lot in terms of making you happy. So
Man, it can do so much. I actually was reading, I've told you about this John Henry Styles, right?
Yes, you have, yeah.
The dude with the glasses that does the real estate thing. Now he talks about how if it comes to measuring your happiness, when it comes to money and your income, there's a positive correlation with your happiness and the amount of money you're getting. And he's found that your happiness basically is directly proportional to the amount of money you earn till you hit $70,000 to $100,000 a year. Because if you're not earning that much, you are going to come to a point in time where you want your space. I need to move out as well, eventually from my house. Birds have got to fly, right?
Exactly,
you're going to need to move out. You're going to need to look after yourself. You'll want to travel, man. I mean, what's the point of just working every day of your life and just dying, right? I mean, you need to experience life, right? So
exactly, of course.
So he talks about how till you earn between 70 to 100, you are going to be occupying a certain amount of space in your head for those problems. Problems meaning, if it is bills, if it is, you might have restrictions in terms of, and those little questions, how even if it comes to things in the lines of buying clothes for yourself, I honestly want to get to the point where, if I go to a restaurant, if I go to the mall or something, I want to buy something without looking at the price tag, right? Genuinely,
Easily,
right?
easily.
I mean, and going on trips, I want to go to a place where I get what I want, not what fits my budget. That's the approach I want to be with life, right? So, that way you are going to, there is a bit of proportionality, not a bit, but there is a positive correlation with your happiness in relation to money and how much you're earning. So, I think, I completely believe that, and I am with that. So, I'd cry I'd rather cry in BMW or, whatever instead of a bus. So, I mean, you are going to at least rent happiness, like you said. You can,
of course.
You can, with experiences, you can make your family happy, things like that. So, I mean, I was just taken back by that quote. So coming into the conversation with China, talking about how their tech firms like DD are being investigated now.
Yes.
Just like after 9/11 or before that, people have been branding Muslims as what's the word? The terrorists.
They run as terrorists. Yes, yeah.
And yeah, afterwards, we've been there is a whole, I'd say reason to it, but there is a lot of follow-up reasons to this. But when we're talking about China here, they are portrayed as that suspicious nation, the you really never know what they're up to kind of thing, right?
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, because they're very much to themselves. They're not a democracy. They're communist party. But at the end of the day, they have their agendas that are very well executed, long term, in terms of logistics, in terms of exports. And they're very decisive about what they want unapologetically towards whichever other country that they might have to put aside in terms of progress. So
Yeah.
now, yeah, so like we were talking about this DD conversation. DD is basically one of the world's largest ride hailing apps. It has about 493 million active users, and this was for 3 quarters of last year.
Yeah.
Now, Didi, I mean, we have 1 billion people in China there alone, right? So, I mean, if you have
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
successful app there, you're basically running a ton of operations. You're minting, right? Basically.
Of course, yeah.
So, Didi is basically based in Beijing, and they do operate in 14 other countries like Brazil and Mexico. Um, you
Indeed,
know,
yeah.
yeah. Now, Uber competed in China in 2016, but after a 2-year price war, Didi bought Uber China operations. How crazy is that?
Wow. So they started off competing and then ended up being bought by Didi. That is
I
insane.
mean, to come to that point, basically,
Yeah.
that means you generally you basically fought. You had if you a price war is basically just to break down what a price war is.
Yeah.
Let's say for example, you and I sell chairs or whatever, if it's t-shirts, right? Same
Yeah.
t-shirt. Now our costs are the same as well, but your agenda is to profit immediately. My agenda is to be the only monopoly in the world
Yeah.
or wherever we are selling, right? So
Yeah.
if our cost is $10 or £10, if you're selling it at £20, I'm going to start a price war with you by selling it at £19.
Ah, I
Yeah.
see. I see.
So
Competition
the price.
for more people. Yeah. I
Exactly.
see.
So this is based on price, but there's so many different operations or methods in how people can compete. But a price war is strictly based on price. So where we talk about now for you, for example, how you would, I mean, a mature business, how you would rather compete with that is maybe you could say, yeah, I charge more than them, but my service is better. Your experience with engaging with us is better. But
That's a very
a
good point.
price war
Yeah.
comes to a point where, I mean, you need to consider the market, right? You need to consider the product. I'm not honestly, I'm really not going to give a shit about how much I pay to get from A to B. As long as it's lesser than whoever else. I don't care who I go with, as long as I get a good offer, right?
Of
If it's
course, yeah.
Uber, if it's Lyft, if it's Bolt, if it's what are the other names?
Ola, probably Ola.
Yeah, all yeah. So basically, a price war is where if you and I compete on price, I'm basically going to go. You're basically going to go to £18. So that
Yeah.
way, your profit is reducing as well. Now, what Uber generally does is they to make sure that everyone is wiped out of the market. They charge what Uber does in their general sense is that they charge less than $10 as well. So that way, when people get used to using Uber, the other app, the other solution providers, they basically
Yeah.
don't generate money because everyone is spending money on that, right?
Yeah. Because
So
obviously it's
eventually,
come down below the £10 mark. It's a lot cheaper.
exactly. So eventually, it's going to come to a point where Uber might be running at a loss, but in the long run, they're going to be the market share leader, and people are going to only go to that because there's no other solution. That's when
Oh yeah.
Uber goes
Yeah.
hikes their prices back to 20 quid.
Ah, yeah. And
Yeah.
then at the same time, it's like although they've increased their prices, who else can they really use? Because all the competition's actually been
Exactly.
wiped off the market now. I understand. I
Yeah.
understand.
So that's a
Okay.
successful price competition. That's a successful price competition. Now it definitely has, it definitely makes a say on different products, different markets, different people. Now, Toyota is not really going to bother that, Rolls Royce is not really going to bother, going on a price war with someone like Toyota,
Yeah.
because they know their product is superior. They know their service is superior by miles.
Yeah, of
But
course. Yeah.
so you have everyone in their own leagues. But now this is obviously not a product that you can buy like this. It's a service, but that's one way to compete. So basically, the reasons some people might engage is to get themselves in the market,
Yeah.
establish a common presence, and sometimes also to wipe out the competition. So now Didi has basically had this price war with Uber, and they've come to a point where they've won the price war. Uber has eventually felt like it's worth that their return would be worth selling themselves to Didi instead of running operations further.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
basically, if you can't beat them, join them.
absolutely.
Oh,
So Didi
days.
has bought Uber in China. That's massive, right? For China,
Yeah.
such a big
Yeah.
market. That's 500 million users we're talking about.
Of course. Yes. Yeah. I see. And wow, that's a pretty crazy story. I didn't even know. Well, obviously, looking at the reports now, I'm seeing that this happened all the way back in 2016. So this took
Yeah,
2 years for all of this to
yeah,
actually be able to take place, and it was just hammer and tongs until finally Uber said, "We give up. We'll join you."
absolutely.
So that is pretty crazy. But in fact, even looking into DD as we speak, so even looking deeper into the report as I was reading through, I'd seen why Didi is actually in trouble. And it said that China has a cyberspace watchdog that said that it suspected Didi of being involved with illegal collection of use of personal data. And it didn't cite any specific violations. So a state-owned a state-owned newspaper, the Global Times, said in an editorial on Monday that Didi has the most detailed personal travel information of users among all large technology firms. They said
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
company could conduct big data analysis of users' habits and behavior, posing a potential risk for individuals. So when based on my understanding, for a company to be able to have a big data analysis of habits and behavior, that means not only are they picking up just personal data of an individual themselves, like their name or where they live or things like that, but you're now starting to pick up different types of attributes that a human being has. Like for example, let's say for example, me myself, I have a habit of just like tapping my fingers against the table. I don't know how, but the app is able to pick that up, saying it's able to pick up habits and behavior. Or maybe I make facial expressions whenever I'm trying to get a message across, just like I am now. So the app is able to pick
That's
that up, you
Yeah,
know?
to just add to what you're saying,
Yeah,
you can, your mobile phone is basically, it's a tool that you can use to, unimaginable places right now.
of
I
course,
mean, it's
yes.
it's only improving, but the way it can be turned against you is also as, scary, I'd say, or,
Oh, yeah.
I'd say, I don't even know what the word is, but we'll actually break it down further. We'll run into a couple of quick videos on Relax Radio, but
Yeah.
we'll come back with a quick, intro on what DD could be actually monitoring about you, or any app that has the access to read things like your camera, your geotag location, your
Yes.
messages, your contacts, your gallery, right? So these things we'll actually break it down right after the break. Stay tuned on Relax Radio. You're on the buzz with Tim and Kings. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
They're talking about mental health. Well, if you went out and got some exercise in the fresh air, that would improve your mental health. It will make you feel better.
That's true. That is true. I wholeheartedly agree. But then for some people, it's how do you find the motivation to, especially when it comes to riding a bicycle, to do it again and again and again and again. It's a cycle that you have to be used to. How do you do it? What makes you wake up in the morning and decide, hey, I'm going to pick my bike up today. I'm going to cycle. What makes you want to do that?
What makes me want to do that?
Yeah. What do you like? What could you give listeners, like people listening in right now? What kind of tip could you give them?
Well, the first tip I would give them, if you haven't tried it before, try it. It can open up new horizons. It'll make you fitter. It will definitely make you fitter. Cycling is one of the best forms of aerobic exercise you can do.
It sounds like, I mean, if you think about it, yeah, it sounds like great fun. Because what essentially you're trying to say is also at the same time, when you, if you look at it from this perspective, with regards to mental health, especially when you look at it with mental health, this is another way to fight it. I feel like you go outside, you meet more people, you interact with, socially, you will interact with more people, and you're keeping fit, you're making connections, you're breathing in the good and exhaling the bad. I feel like that's a great thing right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a better way with words than I have, I'll tell you. But you're quite right. What you say there. You're quite right.
I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time. I mean, hey, you'll get the hang of it.
I've been doing it for about 10 minutes now, so yeah.
That I can never really understand people staying in one room the whole day when you can have the world to see. I am a traveler. I travel. I love traveling. Traveling is just one of the things I do. And yeah, on top of my bucket list was, to one time, hopefully when I get there, go to Nepal and climb Mount Everest. That is that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
Base camp, yeah.
At least.
Would you be able to cycle there?
Oh.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back from the break. You are tuned into The Buzz with DJ Kings and Tim. Everything finance, everything entrepreneurship, everything business, and everything tech. Now, just before we were headed off from the break, we were speaking about Didi, the ride-hailing app, which provides services just like Uber, Ola, and Bolt, and everything else. Now, there was something that you had said before we went on to the break, Tim, and I just wanted to quickly break that down. With our phones. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, our phones, our smartphones, the same things that we're always tapping on every single day of the week, how many hours in a day, only Lord knows how much. So if we're looking at an app like this that's able to have huge analysis of not just personal data, but habits and behavior, this phone that we seem to call our best friend because we have it on us the most can turn into our worst enemy, because that's how we've had thoughts of what technology may be like in the future, right? With AR tech, VR tech.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about a ton of AR, and we talk about a ton of future related technology experiences. Yeah. That NFT article of the video we watched over the weekend. On how you can just hold your phone onto some people and see what NFTs they're wearing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's just another world, right? I mean, imagine if everyone starts investing in it, then that's going to come to the point when everyone is wearing glasses, or you get the contact lens.
Indeed.
People are just going to start spending on digital art to wear, and they might really stop caring about what physical clothes they wear, what brand or the quality. It's nuts, because you'll be entertaining a whole new market, you'll be entertaining a whole new demography, and it's the future basically. And you can basically be walking down the road with a pair of shorts and a skinny, but then you can be looking like someone like Thor. Meanwhile, if someone's watching you on this with the contact lenses, or any AR interactions. So that is just a hint of where technology is going. I'm just so grateful. I mean we we have to break stuff like this down, and
Yeah.
we have to be aware of things that are going on. And
Indeed.
if everyone tuned in is interested in knowing more about it, make sure you're tuned in. Make sure you call us up. You can call Kings and I on 0785 07852473473. You can also WhatsApp us on this number. Now, if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, make sure you comment on this video below. You can reach us through our app. You can reach us through our website as well. We're breaking down things along the lines of DD and how they are under investigations because of what China, because of the Chinese app, and what they're actually doing with your content, or what your phone is studying about you. But
Yeah.
to answer the question we left you with, the question was, how much is your phone actually monitoring you? Basically, I also, just to add a bit of a story to our conversation. I was
Yeah.
watching this story called I was watching this sequel called Money Heist. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
I don't know anyone that has heard of Money Heist.
Yeah. So Money Heist, basically, there's this part where the reason they switch all the phones off is because someone can hack into it if they really want to, and use your cameras without you knowing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically, like, just like that, when you give access to these apps to use your mobile phones, or your your camera, your gallery, you're actually giving them the right to scroll through your gallery as well, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You only think that generally people only think that it's only while you're actually while you are scrolling through it, but you're giving the access to all that. And also, when it comes to things like your geotag location, right? I can know with you, okay, which day of the week where you're generally at, or till what time you are at, who you maybe spend time with, who you communicate or call the most. So when you give access to your contacts, these are all things that you think only you know, but your phone pretty much, or Google, knows so much more about you.
Of course, yeah. I understand that completely. If there's one thing I have noticed about mobile phones just in general is going back to the question you said, how much does your mobile phone know about you? Well, one thing I can definitely say is that my mobile phone definitely does listen in on so many of my conversations, because there'll be a moment in time I could mention something about, I don't know, steak. I could be talking about, I could probably go for a nice steak. And then I'm flicking through Instagram.
You see steakhouse videos and ads on Instagram.
Yeah. I'll be scrolling through and then I get a sponsored advert saying steakhouse in central London. And I'm thinking, no, that doesn't make any sense. Then maybe I'll say something about, I think I might need to get myself a jacket whilst I'm on the phone talking to someone else. Now, all of a sudden, as I'm scrolling through Google search for something, I see an advert for a jacket pop up. I'm thinking, hold on, this phone's listening too much on my conversations. What's going on, So to answer your question, I feel as though my phone definitely does know a lot about me. And some conversations, can never really get out into public because then, embarrassment. So, yeah.
I mean, I'm with you 100% there. I mean, it's both scary, but it is super innovative. I mean, I think the people are still, surprised or taken aback by how technology has moved so fast. But I think, what's important is for us to be updated on, the actual, I'd say the moves that people are making, and just learning from there, understanding that is that, and not just pondering too much about it, but moving on from there to understand where it's going further, right?
Yeah.
So because at the end of the day, if you're gonna be ignorant, or if you're gonna be a closed book, or closed mind in terms of where technology or the world is going, it's going to be relatively hard for you to adapt and learn where you need to put your footstep, where you need to step towards, right?
Yeah,
so,
of course.
There's no doubt that digital is basically taking over the world. It's like basically trying to stick to an abacus instead of using a calculator or a computer. I mean, you look like a joke basically down the line, right? So
Yeah.
important for whoever to understand where technology is going and how you can actually utilize it to, at the end of the day, like we just started our conversation, get money.
Pretty much. To start a conversation, as I said before, we do this show, The Buzz, to make sure that we can have your finances high and your problems low. So, as going back into the topic of the conversation, speaking on DD, so we know that there is a cyberspace watchdog keeping an eye on this company because they fear for the worst, which is the big data analysis on all of the individuals that use the app. And if something like that was to happen, that means a lot of people's personal information and a lot of things following on from that could really be in danger. It could reach a point of it possibly being exposed, But at the same time, it's like we don't know what goes on in China because they're such a closed country. Everything that goes on in China, well, doesn't stay in China, but no one's aware of what they do. Do you understand? So yeah. But other than that, one thing I did want to touch on was actually about Jeff Bezos and the fact that he chose to step down from Amazon. He's chosen to retire.
I'm thinking it's well timed with his trip to space. He's going to space this month.
He's going to space this month. It's this month.
Yeah, that's this month.
It feels like it was forever.
Yeah, man. Now we did talk about how there was hope, or there was what's the word? We can say there was predictions that he was going to be. There was an assumption that he was going to be the first person to hit space.
Yeah.
First billionaire to go to space, right? Now this particular date, I'm assuming it's the 14th, but this is aligned with when the first trip to the moon was done, right?
Yeah.
Which is why he's obviously dated it his trip on this day. Now to compete with this, there's always a conversation of who the first person was to come to to make a car, or first person to skydive from so much, or things like that. So what Richard Branson has done is he's planned his Virgin Galactic trip on the 11th. Just beating this guy by a couple of days, man. So but Richard Branson is Richard Branson does the Virgin Galactic, right?
Yeah.
So, man, this I mean, okay, what's your take? Do you think it's petty or do you think it's competitive?
I mean, I think it's a bit of both, if I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty sure Richard Branson is aware of who Jeff Bezos is, and Jeff Bezos likewise. I feel it's a bit of both for one reason, because obviously when it comes down to, they've both achieved this rank for themselves, wanting to achieve a lot of money and, having the title of the richest person, the richest billionaire or whatever. Now that Jeff Bezos has come out and said he wants to go to space, Richard Branson has now looked at it as a case of, okay, sounds like you're trying to out one of us, or he's probably just chosen to take it personally. I don't know if you've seen that Michael Jordan meme where he sits down his I took that personally. That's what Richard Branson has chosen to go off and do.
Meme by itself.
Yeah, literally. So literally, as he sits down, he goes, and I took it personally. That's what Richard Branson has now done and said, okay, so you want to do this on this date? I'm going to choose to go and fly out 2 days before. So a part of it seems like competition to see, I'm better than you, but then it's also petty because it's like, oh, well, I've chosen to do it 2 days before you, and there's nothing you can do about it, Now you're going to have to accept it. I'm going to be the first one in space.
Yeah. So, no joke, man. I mean, we're talking about how, this is there have been people going to space, but this is a whole new era we're talking about. And honestly, in my opinion, I agree with you when it's relatively slightly petty or competitive. But, you look at someone like Elon Musk. Man's not, he's not, he doesn't seem to be bothered by the least, because he probably knows that, he's basically going to be the first person to, launch a mission that takes people to another whole planet by itself, not just the moon.
Exactly.
It's a whole different conversation there. So
but, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, exactly. We spoke about the risk of how we spoke about the probabilities of an accident happening with all this conversation of going to space. the odds are 1 to 40, right?
Yeah.
And Jeff is basically taking this risk, and I think it's very intelligent or very well thought of,
Yeah.
because things like this can basically fluctuate the stock of the value of the company by I don't know,
A very huge
miles.
margin, I know.
Yeah,
And a
yeah,
very
yeah.
huge margin. Like, imagine hearing, I don't know, imagine hearing one of the managers of, let's say, Zara, one of the heads of office of Zara has literally just taken off to space. Everyone's gonna want to find out what's going on with this. Oh my goodness, I need to get to Zara. Now all of a sudden, Zara is now the talking point of everything right now, because they heard one person out of all the branches has decided they want to fly off to space.
And to add to that, I think he is now. It's been 27 years since he's basically been running from the start. I think that's a decent time to let take a step back and maybe, I mean, the guy is basically the second richest in the world, right? He's now working on his passion projects, and passion projects meaning space travel, things like that. So he's made a dent in the e-commerce industry, next to Jack Ma, who started Alibaba.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll basically be breaking this story down. Make sure you're tuned in on the buzz. We'll be with you on, talking to you about how Jeff Bezos has stepped down, who the next CEO is, and what his worth is of, leaving this company behind right now, where he's built it from.
Yes. Yeah.
This is
course.
Tim and Kings on the buzz with you on Relax Radio. Make sure you're tuned in. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, there's a lot of conversation around who pays more taxes, if it is the rich or if it is the poor, right? When you are basically going out and during a day, you go to a restaurant, you have to pay taxes there. If you buy a car, you have to pay taxes there. So why is it even a conversation that the rich pay less taxes or the poor pay more taxes? Why is it a conversation like that?
Because it's true, the rich generally pay less tax. A rich person walks into a Tesco's or a Sainsbury's, they're not going to get a different bill than another person, right? They're still going to pay the same VAT on those goods, they're still going to pay the same thing. So that's all the same. However, the differences come in if you can pay yourself from your own company, you can structure it in a way that you pay less income tax through paying a bit of salary, paying dividends, and so forth, and then also deferring income. Also, your pension payments or contributions can be different. So that increases your tax sort of gap, if you want to use it that way. Where a PAYE person just gets paid salary and bonus. And now those are the most highly taxed sources of income in the UK, definitely, in the UK. We've seen it, right? If an owner of a large public traded company does something wrong, irrelevant of what that company does or how valuable that company is, the stock generally falls into a pool of nothing, right? Because in a public company where the stock is traded openly on the stock exchange, the value of that stock is driven by supply and demand, it's driven by emotion, it's driven by news, it's driven by quite a lot of variables over and above the actual accounting or total net worth of that company. I mean, we've seen it, right? If an owner of a large public traded company does something wrong, irrelevant of what that company does or how valuable that company is, the stock generally falls into a pool of nothing, right? And the company may still have value, it may still be doing quite a good things.
now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, how much has changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset, And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, he might say to me, you had one to forget. That's it.
Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
He'd say to me, you had one to forget. Get over it. And that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from the break. You are tuned in to Relaks Radio. This is The Buzz with your hosts, DJ Kings and Tim. Once again, everything finance, everything entrepreneurship, everything business, and most importantly, everything technology. The biggest thing that we're talking about every single day of the week, right here this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Buzz.
Absolutely. So Kings, we were talking about how Jeff Bezos,
yes,
the second richest guy in the world, is basically leaving the country, leaving the world, for a trip. And, we had Richard Branson come in and, try to he's attempting to, beat him to become the first official billionaire to travel to space. We know how much, this trip was hyped up. We had someone auctioning in for $28 million as a seat to go on the trip, and then out of nowhere, Richard Branson comes in, and then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go a couple of days before Bezos, and he becomes the big news.
Yeah, there we go. He literally wanted to be basking in the limelight. See, now I understand where you come with. Now I understand why you say petty, and I feel like I wouldn't even say petty, actually. No, I'd call it jealous. I'd say he's jealous because he's not the talking point. He wanted to be the talking point, so he decided, you know what? I got one way to be able to grab the media's attention. I'm going to go 2 days before Jeff. Now I've got everyone talking about me. Oh, yeah, it worked. It definitely worked. It definitely worked.
So now, with regards to his resignation, how he's stepping down, he will still be chairman of Amazon, but he is stepping down as CEO. So Jeff is basically Jeff and his technical advisor. The guy's name is Colin Brea.
Yeah.
They've driven the company. They've driven together to the city of Tacoma. This is somewhere in Seattle, South Seattle, and then at that time he was talking about how he was actually taking calls himself, and he caused how some customers actually call him and complain about some products or some miscalculations or operation misfires with the whole thing. I mean, when you're becoming such a big company, right, a conglomerate or an organization, you can't get to that point without failure. So I watched this other interview of how Jeff talks in the lines of how he is also, this is when he was, a billionaire. This was about a year or two back. He talks about how even for him, sometimes it's difficult to comprehend how fast they're growing because he's so used to, being in he's definitely started in some warehouse, some, moving things up and around with his own hands. And, he was talking there about how he, the necessity of a forklift, the scarcity of a forklift, he still remembers what it was like. And, sometimes he it's train of thought for him to think, okay, if you're going to do this, what about the forklifts? And, do we have forklifts here? So that kind of concerns he has still. He's human too, so he takes time to come into a particular point as well. But now Amazon is at a point where you have not just forklifts, you have AI bots that go around the factory taking things from one place to another. They understand which needs to go where. You just have some people barcoding or authorizing things, moving up and down. Maybe some packing as well. Now, Jeff basically says that in terms of frustration, in terms of understanding how products can go wrong, how customers can mail things, how things can basically be more efficient in terms of flaggy or faulty products. Now, my personal opinion, if I got to this point, maybe I'd have important decisions to make. Now, I know this guy is so much smarter than me, for one. But what a lot of people do is, they start delegating stuff, and things like this. I think at a certain point, you are going to stop taking complaints. Although it is your baby, you are going to stop taking complaints, and you're going to outsource it. But what he did was he actually had a mail address that was public, that was given to people to mail him directly if they had some kind of complaint. Maybe it was Jeff at Amazon.com. So what people used to do was they used to mail him, and then he used to forward it to the relevant departments with a question mark, asking them to address it. So talking about how whoever has worked at Amazon, you don't really have to wait for a long time to hear the phrase customer obsession. Now, this is what they built their company around. We spoke about this as well, how making sure that your customer finds it convenient, reliable, irreplaceable. These three things alone can make you one of the, basically the biggest person in your industry, regardless of what you do.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, of course.
So, this is what they built their company around. They have definitely had a couple of problems in terms of employee management, talent management, but they are now talking about, with this shift, how they need to prioritize. Jeff has basically said that he needs to prioritize the staff as well, because if not for the workforce, what a lot of people think is, you have your business here, and then you have your customers here, you have your suppliers here. You buy from your suppliers or your manufacturers, you do all your jargon here, and you just send it out. These are the only two things you need to concentrate on. But what's important is in the heart of the business as well. That's your resources, your employees, your workforce, yourself. Right?
Of course.
So so at the end of the day, you need to make sure that there's a clear communication channel within the three.
Just quickly, I wanted to quickly touch on that, actually. Speaking on the business and making sure that you understand the heart of the business, so the suppliers, the employees, and then distributing it out to the customers. You see the point of which where you mentioned employees, I feel like that relationship that you build with the employees is so important, because look at it this way: when you have a business, we won't even talk Amazon. Let's just talk from a business standpoint. When you have a business, think of the business as your child. You know how to take care of your child. Now, when you give your child, when you pay somebody to babysit your child, you're teaching them exactly what they need to do in order to make sure that your child is being taken care of properly, So you're showing people the ropes of what they need to do. Not to mention that you have to, when you show this babysitter how to take care of your child, you need to make sure that you're showing the babysitter the proper treatment as well. Because think of it this way, with the business, if you treat the employees correctly, the employees will treat your business correctly. When you maintain that good relationship with your employees will do exactly what you need done for yourself, and sometimes just a bit more above and beyond sometimes. And they'll make sure that they maintain the standard that you want, because you're treating them with respect. So when you treat those employees with respect, the employees will treat you and your business with respect. And in turn, it all works out for everybody. Do you understand what I'm saying? 100%. So yeah, like, with that being said, that relationship from the head of the business down to the employees, I feel that they have to make sure that they keep that relationship good, because yes, you can easily replace an employee, but then that makes your job a high turnover job, and that means nothing will ever get done properly. I feel like maintaining that good connection with an employee to somebody above them, like a manager or a boss, is so key. And that's how
for sure, man.
Yeah,
sure.
and that's how it helps the business to revolve. That's how it helps to continue to go around, and that's how it helps it to stay working properly. So yeah,
for sure. Now, yeah. So, I mean, you have people like Toyota for one. These guys are Japanese, and we know you're a big fan of Japanese technology. Anyways, what Toyota does is, they concentrate around, building people, not just systems or products. So, they have a high value for, their principles are very respectable. They concentrate around building people's skill sets, building people's, principles, increasing, self-worth. Things like that, basically. And, it's genuinely just increasing the people's, know-how and things like that.
Yeah.
Because when you have a highly skilled or talented workforce, your product is basically going to be as, as good. So,
of course,
that's what they do. They keep investing in their team, and maybe if it is in design, if you simple things like basically for design, for engineering, right? These two things, you merge these together, you can get your eventual, product. So
of course,
let's say, for example, you send these guys, or you get maybe, for example, right? Hypothetically, you get Harvard to come do a course with your departments internally. These guys are going to learn so much, get updated so much, and they're basically going to know that, there's so much more out there. And this is only where we are at, and they're going to make the effort to go there, because at the end of the day, people are not, at least productive, competitive people are not the ones that, are going to see something happen out there and then just not, go towards that. They're just going to, watch and let it pass. So, what's important is that you have a good workforce, you have a talented or and a well-informed workforce, a happy workforce as well. From there on, talking about Richard Branson, the guy basically he backs his employees up 100%. He talks about we have so many stories about him and how he stands up for his staff. He says that if you have a happy staff, you're gonna have a happy company. So
there we go. Just as I said before, you maintain that good relationship, everybody wins, everybody's happy. That on top of that as well, it means people will even feel happy to want to come into work, because at least they know that they're being appreciated in the workplace that they are in. They're being appreciated in the environment that they are working in. And who doesn't want to feel appreciated in the space that they're working in, Who doesn't want to feel that appreciation? I mean, I'm not saying... Sorry?
Quite a bit of time. You spend quite a bit of time of your day there. You spend at least, a third to half of your day there.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying when I say appreciate, like show appreciation for the employees that work for you, I'm not saying constantly roll out a red carpet for them. But sometimes it's just good for an employee to know that that they're doing something correctly, that they're doing well, and that they're really taking care of the company and everything's working smoothly because of them. Sometimes it's even nice to even maintain a very good friendly relationship, but also professional, between boss and employee. And
Yeah,
that's how you
sure.
end up, and that's how you get the productivity out of an employee. They're able to work hard for you, and in turn they take care of the company for you, because you show that kind of respect and that love and that appreciation for them. So everybody wins at the end of the day. You have happy pockets, employees go home happy, come back to work happy, and they know that they'll continue to work for you and do whatever they need
Absolutely.
to do. Even if they choose to part ways at some point in the future, they'll never have a bad experience when everything's done correctly.
And how they talk about you afterwards is very important as well.
Exactly. Because in fact, yes, that is very, very key, because after you leave a business, or after you leave a business wherever you used to work at, um what an ex-employee can end up saying to other people about you could either make or break you. Sure, it could just be word of mouth if it's coming from one person, but when it comes from a group of people, and when that scope is a lot larger than just a group of people, then it'll start to raise questions and raise eyebrows, and people will
Absolutely.
start thinking, oh, so is this really the case? Wow, I don't want to go here anymore. And that's how your business ends up tarnished.
For
So
sure.
it's always good to maintain that good relationship between worker and employee, because you never know what one person could say after they have left your establishment, how that can mold your business for the future and maybe forever. You never know.
Correct. That 100%, because like you said, the importance of having your respect with your past employees as well. Now,
Yeah.
there alone, there could be a whole shift in the lines of who exactly what position they maintain. Because, for example, if we have
Yeah.
someone that left Tesla and went to, let's say, Apple to do engineering on vehicles,
Yeah.
right? And if they started talking bad about the company in public, how impactful would that be on your on Tesla, right? For example.
Yeah. It would have a
So
very negative impact on them. Very
yeah,
negative impact. So yeah.
what the two pizza rule is one thing that Jeff basically stands by. He says that if you can't feed a team with two pizzas, yeah, that team is too big. And he talks about how it's important to have small teams. If you have a massive team, just make sure you delegate and structure it in a formal way, and
Yeah.
make sure you can feed the whole group with two pizzas.
Yeah.
And also, he for one, he hates PowerPoint and he prefers written memos for executives to discuss, because he
Yeah.
finds that PowerPoints for one is very time consuming to make, and it's just gonna set you back. So let's say, for
Yeah.
example, I mean, communicating internally, I don't think the necessity for PowerPoints is there, because just to pitch an idea to your internal team, you don't really need to go out of your way. You can just basically, maybe you can share an idea, you can share concepts, but I agree with him on that. And avoiding dominant personalities to have too much of sway. He might go around each person asking how they feel about a particular question, arguing about how they would scream at each other. Everything is open, apparently, on the table. Conversations get heated and very passionate, and it's all about the subject. At the end of the day, it's never about the person. So they make sure that there's just like you said, there's a formal and very passionate, very emotional communication going on between the company as well. So, which is, I think, a healthy heart for the business. Because if people are passionate, or people get emotional
I
about it.
think we've lost him a bit. There might be a bit of technical difficulties here, lady. Oh, are we back?
Yeah, yeah,
Are you with me?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay.
if
Yep.
people
So you were
are,
saying.
yeah, if people are basically, people get heated or emotional about their work, or coming to you know complimenting each other, or complaining about other people, at least in terms of how they can do better.
Yeah.
These can be different add-ons, and these are blessings in secret for. I mean, this is what you want your workforce to have, right? Because you want them to basically be passionate about your company. You want them to genuinely, want to do better, want the company to do better. So
Yeah.
coming, to the last few bit of the talk segment, Andy Jassy is basically the guy that will be taking up the CEO stance in Amazon.
Andy
His name
Jesse.
is he's been with Amazon since 1997, and there's more senior levels. However, Jeff Bezos seems that his management style appears different.
Mm.
He likes his teams to have autonomy, and he believes in fosters innovation. I'm actually going to look up what fosters innovation is later on, but
Yeah.
you have AWS, that's Amazon Web Services, that are doing successful cloud computing. There is core business on e-commerce, and then when you're talking about Bezos, back in the idea, Andy Jassy basically he got the freedom, the capital, and the creativity freedom when creating the company. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you need to be brave when you're a startup. You need to grow as it grows, and you need to be brave as well, because you're risking a lot. You're risking, you're putting everything aside, and you're risking quite a bit. So it's very specific. It's a very specific process at Amazon. Briar says, when
Mm.
the team does their press releases, it's usually the last companies that write.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to be fair, Jeff Bezos has always approached business in the long game, and he's been apparently very methodical with describing customer obsession over short-term profits. And
Yeah.
we can see where they've got. So they're basically leaving the planet on the 20th of July.
Yeah.
Leaving. I'm mostly familiar with the term leaving the country or something of that sort, but not leaving the planet, not yet.
If I ever hear leaving the planet, that would probably be in the worst of situations. So no, I'm not familiar with that term neither.
Yeah, not yet. So yeah, there's also, I mean, fun fact, there's been a petition that has signed, that has been signing and then going around with, I think, collecting about 150,000 signatures, where people are asking for Jeff not to return back to Earth. I mean, this is just a fun fact. It's just I mean, you get weirdos, you get people that just have an itch. I don't know. So
People.
that's that take on it. Yeah, man.
That's literally my only response. Just people. That's all I can say, really.
Honestly, man. Honestly, yeah.
But nonetheless,
Yeah. So with that being said, we'll be wrapping up the show for the hour. Thanks, Kings, for joining in. Always a pleasure to have you on board.
so it's a pleasure to be recording with you, Tim.
Looking forward to tomorrow's show. We'll come back with a couple of cool topics around business, tech, entrepreneurship. Remember, if you
Indeed.
want to get in touch with us, comment on the video below. You can share this video, you can comment, you can like and subscribe to our pages. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you download our app. It's free on Play Store and the App Store. So download it. Keep us in your ears always. We're with you 24 hours of the day. This is Relax Radio. And you got DJ Kings logging out for the hour.
Indeed. I will see you guys tomorrow and for the rest of the week. So